All right, and we are live, everybody. It's Eric J. Olson here once again for our Friday at noon lunchtime live. And today I have a very special guest, Marcus Sheridan. Hey, Marcus.
Yo, yo, excited to be here.
I
Happy
appreciate it.
Friday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm a big fan of yours. I've read your book. I've given your book. They ask you answer to our employees, and we've implemented a lot of it. Um, that's a little summary about you, but why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so the very fast story version of this, I started a business, a swimming pool company, 2001, almost lost it in 2008. And I ended up doing some unique things online that I didn't think were very innovative, but they ended up being very innovative at the time to save the business. We called the strategy they ask you answer. We essentially became the Wikipedia of swimming pools, and we would go on to become the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. And then we became the fastest growing manufacturer of fiberglass pools in the US as well. Today we have river pools and spas franchisees all over the country. In fact, we have one where Eric lives in Chesapeake. That's a river pools and spas of Chesapeake. And as I was having this success, I started to write about what we were doing. And companies started saying, Yo, Marcus, can you show me how to do that? And so I started talking about it, teaching it, and ended up becoming a full-time speaker, still in the pool company.
Okay.
And I now have an agency. It's got about 65 employees. And They Ask You Answer was written about 4 years ago, and I think it's doing better today than it was 4 years ago. It just continues to take off. It's been a fun ride.
That is awesome. It's an interesting story for me because I was told by other business owners before I knew who you were and before I knew what the book was. I was told that there's this pool guy in Richmond and he's doing amazing things. And I heard that story twice, and then I looked into it and I found out that it was you. And I kind of connected the dots, got the book, and yeah, like I said, we've implemented quite a few things that you talked about in the book. So one of the things is it's still up on our website. If you go to our website and the main menu, there's a pricing tab, and
Yeah,
especially as an agency, like a lot of agency
it
owners,
makes you
they
an
don't want,
anomaly in the agency space.
yeah, they don't want to talk about their price. They want to wait until you're at the very end of the deal. But your advice in the book was no, actually talk about it and talk about the complexities involved in it as well. And you don't have to give them a number. You don't have to say it's $1,200. You don't have to give them your price list. Just tell them what the factors are, and that was really genius.
Well, I mean, the problem is this: we all assume that people just automatically know what things should cost. And when it comes to services, especially, people just don't know. They don't necessarily know what should a website cost. What's the difference between a $5,000 website, a $10,000 website, a $25,000 website build, 50,000, 100,000, right? How is somebody just supposed to know this automatically?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we don't talk about these things, and here's the big problem, Eric, we commoditize what we sell. Because what happens is people say, okay, well, Eric owns an agency and this other person owns an agency, and they both say they're going to help me with my SEO or my social media. And so one's cheaper than the other. So I'll just go with the one that's cheaper than the other.
Yeah.
Like, what good is that? And so if you really don't explain the thing, what drives value in the marketplace? What drives costs up? What drives costs down? Why are some companies expensive? Why are some companies cheap? Okay. And then you can talk about where you are. And what's amazing is, I've had now, I mean, there's literally thousands of They Ask You Answer case studies out there, the people that have reached out to me. And far and away, the most effective from a sales standpoint is when people talk about money. They talk about costs, they talk about price, they talk about salaries. When they talk about it, it just sets them apart from everybody else. And one last thing I'll say about this very thing here is, oftentimes as businesses we think like, what can I do that's so different, that stands out from
Mm-hmm.
everybody? What's my purple cow, right?
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to do anything different. You just have to be willing to teach and talk more than others about that thing you sell and the questions people ask about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we didn't do anything special at River Pools. Like, the way we make the pools isn't special. We just teach it better than anybody else. And because of that, that's how we became what is the most trafficked swimming pool website literally in the world. It's amazing.
It is amazing. As a matter of fact, I have a pool in my home, and about 2 years ago, I was having an issue closing the pool for the season, and I just did a Google search and I popped right over to your website, and there was the answer. It was awesome.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that too, Eric, is sometimes companies will say, well, that's dumb. You service this or that. You service pools, yet you're going to make a video on how to service pools. Yes, for a few different reasons. Number one, if they don't get it from me, they're still going to get it.
Right.
That's the thing everybody forgets.
Yeah.
If they don't get the answer from you as a business, they're still going to get it from someone else.
Yeah.
So this is the choice that we have. I'd rather you get it from me. And plus, there's a good portion of people that will look at that and they'll say, I don't want to have anything to do with that now that I see the detail that's involved with it.
Yeah.
There's another percentage of people that will do it. That's totally fine. I haven't lost anything. I haven't lost any business. And if the Eric Olsons of the world see that and they say, well, I really appreciate that Marcus did that, who's to say that the next time he buys a pool or the next time he recommends a friend a pool company or whatever that thing
Mm-hmm.
is, that he's not saying, you should probably check out river pools and spas as well. You got to have an abundance mentality today.
No, you're
Period.
absolutely right, because I
You
was going
got
to
to.
find the answer that moment. I was going to either find the answer or realize
Yep.
it was going to be too complicated for me to pull off, and I was going to have to call someone. And at the bottom of the article, it talked about the company and the services you provide. And so if I didn't get the answer, if I didn't want to do it, I would have probably called you guys. So I think it's a
That's
great
how it
idea.
works.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you started this, was did you go in with like an SEO strategy, or did you just kind of like happily stumble across the SEO benefits of that?
Well, yeah, to me, I never really understood why so much SEO talk was technical, right?
Mm,
So, when I looked at all the stuff I read about SEO early on, I was like, okay, so Google's just trying to give the best, most specific, relevant answer to the question. That's really it. And I need to make it clear to Google what I'm talking about. Okay, so I need to put my titles in like somebody would search it. Yeah, that's not hard to do because I'm human. And I need to think like a buyer. That's not hard to do because
yeah,
I'm a buyer. I need to answer the question well. That's not hard to do because I'm a natural teacher, right? Don't try to sound smart. Don't try to sound witty. And I never tried all those other shortcuts, Eric. So I never, even at a time when keyword stuffing
mm-hmm.
and stupid link building tactics were really significant, I was not buying it. I'm like, what's the only long term SEO strategy? Like the only long term one? Answer the question better than anyone else.
That's
That's
right.
it. I
Yeah,
mean, that's literally the only strategy that's built to last, which is why every time Google's had an update
yeah,
over the course of the last, 8, 9, 10 years, people come to me and say, Marcus, this is great. I don't even freak out when there's an update because I'm not worried what's going to happen. It's a
yeah.
strategy that's built to last. And I don't think enough sometimes marketers and businesses think like that, right?
Yeah, what I've noticed with the Google algorithm updates is it seems like every time they make an update, it's like they're enforcing what they've been telling you for years.
Yes.
So they'll tell you things
Yes.
like the words are important, the links to it are important, they have to come from the right sources. And then also like images and videos are important. And so use videos, use images that are relevant. And if you're doing something else, then you get penalized. If you're doing what they tell you to do, even if they're not enforcing it yet, you're going to benefit.
Yeah. It never felt, I mean, sure, there's technical SEO that
Mhm.
I still don't understand, but that's 5% of SEO. So now I'm sure technical SEO would argue with that, but that's really 5% of SEO. The other 95% is common sense stuff that you and I, and certainly most businesses should be able to do if they just start thinking like a buyer, right? And the one thing about it, though, that really did, I think, was more of the discovery was once I started obsessing about the way customers think and the questions they ask, when I saw the big five, that's when I really knew there was something serious going on in terms of how it could affect SEO, how it could affect sales too. Because in the book I talk about how there's five subjects that really just dominate the way that we search. B2B, B2C, service product, doesn't matter. As buyers, we want to understand and research five things before we engage companies. We want to know, to your first point, how much is it, cost,
Yep.
stuff. We want to know what are the negatives or the problems, the issues with it. And people sometimes don't understand that, but the reality is as soon as you're really serious about buying something, you tend to research what could go wrong with it. When was the last time you researched what could go wrong with something that you did not want to buy? Never. You only research negative things that you have heard when you want to buy it. The only person that types in negative reviews of particular
Yeah.
product is the person that wants to buy it. So
Yeah.
that's the second one is problems. Third one is comparisons. We are obsessed with comparing stuff online as consumers, as buyers. Fourth one is reviews. What is everybody saying about it? And fifth one is best. We love to search best.
Yep.
Now, anybody can think about all the times you've been online, all the searches you've done online. You've done all of those probably many, many times, especially comparisons, especially best, especially cost, right?
Yeah.
We've all done those just a mountain of times in reviews too. And so then it's like, all right, this is working in every single industry. And that's what I realized. I saw the pattern was clear. These 5 subjects resonate more than anything else that I write about, by far, by far. And so I tested it in other industries, and all came back to be true. It all came back to be the same. And so, today I teach that when a company, especially at the beginning of their content production, their content marketing, anything that they're producing in terms of content, 75% of the content should be aligned around those 5 things. Because within every industry, there's literally hundreds of questions around those 5 subjects. And if you lean into those 5 things, it's going to immediately help your sales team, because those 5 things are very bottom of the funnel based questions generally. Those are the questions your sales team is getting asked all the time. So therefore, they would want to integrate that content into the sales process, which is a big part of digital sales and marketing success. And from a search perspective, that's what produces the money, right? You don't want to live in the land of the fluff. And the sad reality is many companies that are doing content are producing fluffy stuff that if you showed their sales team, here's the last 20 pieces of content we produced, how many of these would you want to integrate into the sales process? Unfortunately, the majority, they would say, this isn't going to help me at all because it's fluffy. This is not what I need. You don't see me as a pool guy talking about, stuff like five ways to relax in your backyard. I ain't doing that. Nobody asked me ever, Marcus, how can I relax in my backyard? I answer questions about pools, about pool accessories, about buying a pool. That's what I do. And because I do that and don't focus on all that top of funnel, outside of funnel, not even on the same hemisphere funnel stuff that you see people do, I don't waste time on bad content. My clients are the same way. I constantly have to tell them, like, this is fluffy. We're not going to produce it. Moving on to something that the sales team would actually care about and the buyer too.
Why do you think people do that? Like, why create
It's
those
safe,
fluffy-
Eric. That's it. It's so safe. And the other problem too is, for the most part, it doesn't force them to do something that hasn't been done in their space. And I was talking about this yesterday on LinkedIn, and that is this. And you own an agency, and you get this, but you're the anomaly, because here's the thing. Most agencies, marketing agencies, and most PR companies do not get astounding results when it comes to content for their clients. Why? Because they don't want to push the envelope. Yep. Because they're afraid that if I produce anything that gets any blowback, any pushback, a competitor complains, just somebody says, I don't agree with your opinion, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, geez, and I don't want to piss anybody off. I don't want to annoy anybody. I'm telling you what, if you want to be a thought leader in business today and you haven't annoyed your competitors yet, you are not a thought leader. I can promise you, you are not a thought leader. Now, some people say, oh, I don't like that phrase, thought leader. Well, I don't care if you like it, because the marketplace uses it, and there's no other better phrase that I've found than thought leader. River Pools is the trusted leader, the thought leader of fiberglass pools, period. It's the Wikipedia of fiberglass in-ground pools. And if you want to become that, you can't be willing to talk about 5 fun games to play in your swimming pool, because nobody cares about that.
That is spot on. I love that. So yeah, you have to almost want to create people that are pissed off at you because of what you're talking about. Like, people want you to, like, your competitors want you to stop talking about these things because they don't want to talk about it, and they don't want you to talk about it.
Yo, Eric, when I started manufacturing pools, right, which we became currently right this second, right, we're the fastest growing fiberglass pool manufacturer in the U.S. All right, we'll build over 1,000 fiberglass pool shells to ship around to dealers in the country this year, and this is our 3rd full year in business. That's stupid growth. I mean, that's dumb growth. When I started that, I was producing videos that was our team was that was showing the entire manufacturing process. Like literally, if you wanted to start a fiberglass pool manufacturing company, you could watch these videos. It was a series of 8 videos. The average was 10 minutes, 80 total minutes, Eric. And do you know what happened? Competitors were calling me saying, "Why in the world are you showing people how to make a pool?" I'm like, ding dong. People today want to see the sandwich made in front of them. That's how it works. And so see, again, the way we make our pools, not special. The fact that we show how our pools are made makes us special.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. We do something very similar. Not with quite the success that you've had, but we have a podcast called Journey to $100 million. And the whole point is we want to grow to $100 million in revenue by 2030. And there's a tremendous amount of learning that we go through on a daily basis here. And we talk about that on our daily podcast. And a lot of times, honestly, we're giving away the secrets and we're telling people how we screwed up, but then how we fixed it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're okay with even saying that we screwed up because there's a learning opportunity there when you screw
Heck
up
yeah.
to fix it and to get better so you don't make that same mistake again. But I've had people ask me, one, why do you talk about your failures? And then two, aren't you worried about your competitors learning how to do everything that you do? And the answer is no, absolutely not. I'm not worried about them at all. I'm worried about what we're doing and our customers, and that's it. The competitors, if they want to try to copy me, go for it. But you won't have the implementation and execution that we have.
No, plus there's always room on top, right? Those that have an abundance mentality realize if if you're crushing it, we're going to crush it together on top and everybody's going to be happy because most people do not come from that abundant mentality. It's more of a scarce mentality. It's more, I'm going to hoard my secret sauce, which
That's
we
right.
all know is nothing but Thousand Island dressing. So you might as well just show it to the marketplace. Exactly what you're doing, Eric, right? This is
Cool.
what you're doing here. That's the thing that makes you unique and special. The fact that you're willing to show it and talk about, tell it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely credit you for a lot of that mentality and the implementation that
Cool.
we've done. So I appreciate it. Hey, let's talk a little bit about some of your earlier books. So if you Google your name and books, or if you go to Amazon, you'll see that you actually had previous books. Now, I was introduced to you from They Ask You Answer. I didn't realize you had other books until somewhat recently when I did the research. So
Yeah,
what I
most
wanted
people
to ask,
definitely don't know about the other books.
yeah. So actually, what I wanted to ask is just a little bit about your experience as an author. So I would imagine, and here's why. I wrote a book in December 2019. It's going through professional editing, and I hope to publish it in December of 2020. And I'm putting like everything I got into it, like all my stories from the past, and
Yeah,
this is kind of like the big thing that I'm producing.
yeah,
But what I was wondering is like for you, was it kind of like that for your first book? And let's just stick to the marketing books, maybe.
yeah.
Like everything kind of go into there and you thought like this is going to be the one.
Hmm. No, I didn't hyperanalyze. When so a lot of my friends laugh about this because, you know, the book has become pretty successful. I mean, it's 4 years later. It's going to sell more this year than it did the first year, and so that part's pretty actually surprising, pretty stunning. So how does it have legs? I said my goal for this because people say, so how many do you want to sell? I'd say, oh no, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
The moment I publish this, I won. I don't really care. I separated myself, um, you know, uh, disattach myself, if you will, to those numerical outcomes. The reason for that is because you see many people write books and then they put so much into the launch and so
Mhm.
much into particular numbers that they literally don't like they just don't enjoy the process at all. They hate being an author. It's like a PTSD, right? After they've published the book.
Oh
I said,
yeah.
I'm not going to be that person. So I published it, didn't promote the crap out of it, right? I said, if it's got legs, it'll have legs. If people like it, it'll do its thing. If they don't, whatever. It's done really well. Now, why has it done really well though? I think there's something to this, and people need to understand. I think one of the most critical reasons why they ask, you answer has worked with people is because number one, I, as the author in the system, they ask you answer, it never tries to appear smart or intelligent. And so if you read the book, you don't read it like, there's never going to be a side to you that says, he's really trying to impress me here, or this guy kind of annoys me,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's never this sense of he's trying to show that he's intelligent, right? That doesn't come across.
Right.
And that's not how I am as a speaker either, right? As a speaker, my singular goal is there communion with the audience? Does the light bulb come on? And so what they ask you answer, really cut and dry, right? You have personal stories, and every single section of the book is written the same way. Question, story, result,
Yep.
challenge. Question, story, result, challenge. And so I ask questions to get people to think about their personal behaviors and habits, which, we can argue with lots of people, but we can't argue with ourselves. In other words, if this is the way that we are, this is the way that we are, right? So I might give you my opinion. You might not agree with it, but if it's your opinion, then all of a sudden you agree with it. So I share a question that's usually related around a principle. Like, when was the last time you researched how much something costs on a website? And I might ask a series of questions, but getting you thinking about that. Then I'll share a story about how I talked about cost and price on my website. Then I'll share how that one single article has made literally millions of dollars in sales. And you're like, son of a gun, pool guy,
Right.
writes one article, makes millions of dollars in sales. And then I'll challenge you at the end of that to stand apart from the crowd and be willing to talk about cost and price on your website, right? And teach about the marketplace. And that happens over and over again throughout the whole book. It's this most simple pattern, but it works. And because of that, too, I think there's a part of it that people say, I liked it because it's not theoretical. It's not just like, here's what's around the turn or whatever. It's like you literally say, this is how it's done. This is how I did it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you can do it.
Yeah.
That's pretty
It's a
simple.
recipe, right? Which is
That's
great.
it.
You read the book and now you know what to do, which is awesome. If I recall correctly, towards the end of the first edition, which is what I read, there was a chapter, maybe two, but there was a section about video.
Mm.
And it basically said something to the effect of, more or less, video is going to become a thing. Right? How do you feel about video these days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on video. I believe in it more than ever. I'm a full-time speaker in a pandemic, which means I'm not speaking, and I still have my full-time videographer. I have not let go of my
Right.
full-time videographer. So I'm losing money in some ways because, I don't know, most speakers, they don't have a full-time videographer when they're speaking. I have a full-time videographer right now when I'm not speaking. And that's because I have to see myself as a media company. My swimming pool company is a media company. My agency is a media company. Now, we happen to sell different things, but we need to show it, because saying it doesn't make you special. Saying that you have the best people, saying you have the best service, that just makes you extremely normal, because everybody in the marketplace is saying the same thing. And if everybody's saying the same thing, it's just noise. And so only when we show it does the marketplace start to say, wow, this is real. And so I think video is huge. I think salespeople need to become great with video. I think they need to become great with one-to-one video. I think COVID has only pushed this. We've leapt 7 years ahead, especially now with video conferencing. You get 71% of the sales force in the world is outside sales reps. And right now they're pretty much all inside. And so they're all having to sell by video.
Yep.
And so I do a ton right now. Actually, how I'm making money is I do virtual sales training. I teach sales teams how to go virtual. Incredibly effective, right? But the thing about it is, this isn't going away. It's not going to slow down if you're not doing video as an organization and producing it in-house, not just outsourcing, but you got to learn to produce it yourself. You're never going to reach your potential unless you're producing it yourself. I've got a book coming out on this. It's called The Visual Sale. It's my next book. I wrote it with co-wrote it with Tyler Lassard, who's the CMO of
Hmm.
Vidyard, which is a great video platform. So if you're not using Vidyard for their one-to-one video, you're missing out. But the visual sale, and it's just like they ask you answer. It approaches video from a sales standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, and lots of takeaways. Lots of
Yep.
takeaways.
That's excellent. I'm going to pre-order that right after we get off of this live because I'm
I
looking forward
appreciate
to
that.
that. We love video here when it comes to the one-on-one videos. So then also even like getting a message out to my team. So sometimes I'll get off the phone call with a client and I've got 10 things that I need to tell the team.
Hmm.
And if I sit there and try to like peck out a Slack message or an email, it's just going to take forever and I won't be able to communicate it properly. And so I use Vidyard. As a matter of fact, I just upgraded to their paid plan, and which is awesome.
It's stunning to
Vidyard is
me how
fantastic.
few people will do that, because the average person types 3 times slower than
Yep.
they talk. Now, for many outside sales reps, that number is more like 5 to 1, right? And so,
Yeah.
just from a sheer time
Bingo.
efficiency standpoint, if you're gonna say something more than a few sentences via email, you're actually wasting time now by not just saying it, and it takes seconds for that to render and you to paste that in with Vidyard, right? So it's so quick and so easy, but it's also, it's funny to me. Everybody always says, I don't want to do video because my industry is face to face. It's relationship based. I'm like, you ding dong.
Yeah.
How is video not face to face?
Yeah. Right
Eric,
now we're face
you
to face.
see me right now. I see you. We are having a face to face conversation right this
Yeah.
second. Our relationship is being enhanced right now. The idea that that's not the case on video is just completely false.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. It almost feels like cheating when I create a video instead of typing an email. So in the example where the client just dumped a bunch of stuff on me, it was really easy for me to just go to my Chrome extension and click Vidyard and start talking. And I talked for about a minute and a half. Very quick, very simple. I shipped it off and I was done. And I thought, I'm not really doing this. I'm doing it a disservice by just like blasting out a video. But the team, when they received it, they're like, oh, thanks so much for all the detail. So
That's
they
it.
saw completely different than I did. Like they wanted the video, whereas, well, I wanted the video too because it was easy. It's just easier and it's more effective at communicating. Amazing.
We don't do internal announcements anymore just by text.
That's great. Yeah, I love it.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
So I do the same thing. As a matter of fact, when I got done with my run this morning, my nephew's birthday is coming up, and I used Vidyard on my phone, and I did like a 6-minute video wishing him happy birthday and asking him what he wanted. And I gave him a bunch of options. So
Dude, that's dope.
it's just a great way to communicate. It's way better than a text message saying happy birthday, which everyone
100%.
else does, right? Or clicking, happy birthday in a LinkedIn or Facebook. Or one more video story, and this is directly related to sales. We were considering buying something from a company, and we had gone through their demo and their
Hmm.
sales process, and they were doing follow-up emails. But the one follow-up email that got our attention is when they sent a Vidyard, and the head was in the bottom left, and in the background was our website.
Hmm.
And she was scrolling through our website, and you could see the animated GIF.
They had
And
done the
I
work, man.
and I was like, "What's she saying about our website?"
That's
Like
right. You couldn't help but to watch that
I could not help.
because you saw that they had done the work specific to you. And why more salespeople don't do this is rather stunning.
Yeah, that's
Can't even
amazing.
understand it.
One of our salespeople, she does the same thing with the mobile app, but outside of someone's office. So she'll do basically a selfie video with their logo on their building behind
Smart.
them. Very, very smart. Yeah, so good. So definitely looking forward to that book. I know there's going to be a lot of good information in there.
Yep.
So.
Always takeaways, man.
And also they ask you answer. Second version is out.
That second version's out. It's got a lot more on video. A lot more on video. It's got some on chat. It's got some on really making a better They Ask You Answer website. And so a couple more case studies. So the legend continues to grow of They Ask
That's
You
awesome.
Answer. It's just awesome to watch, man. It's a
All right.
movement. It's beautiful. And for those that believe in honest, transparent business, being teachers, that business is about trust, you will love They Ask You Answer. the
All right.
book. You'll love it.
Well, I'm going to buy that too. You have a customer for life here.
Appreciate it, Eric, very, very much,
All
man.
right, Marcus. Hey, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.